Hello and welcome to OSINT, fun with open source intelligence, brought to you by Pentester Academy. My name is Jamal Benlakwala and I will be your host for this fun and exciting course. So today we're going to be talking about one of a few cases. This particular case is quite interesting because it ties into the whole thing about trust but verify. How do you know the information you're getting is accurate? And also why, and also makes you think about those questions we talked about earlier. Things you need to ask, like, why am I getting this information? Who benefits? Is this information accurate? Does it matter? And how can I use this information? So, around the time of the Charlie Hebdo attacks, as you can imagine, there was a lot of media coverage and such, and almost every news site was talking about it, which was expected. Now, one of the things you'll recall around when the Charlie Hebdo attacks took place was there was some video footage that had been released and of the gunman and similar. Well, a news site that appeared to be the BBC spread out and came up and began to talk about how the footage was inaccurate, was fake, and it included comments from some senior U.S. officials, and it talked about this being a false flag operation and related matters. Now, what was interesting about this site was the URL for the site was very close to the actual BBC website. So while the actual BBC website may have been bbcuk.com, this thing was bbc-uk.com. And it seemed to fool a lot of people. To make it more difficult for people to authenticate, was that it actually included legitimate data from the real BBC news site. So people would actually see multiple real things, which made it more believable, and they'd then see this fake story. Now here's where it gets interesting. Now the site's no longer available, it was taken down. I can't even find cache versions of this page. But you do find articles that reference it, and OpenDNS Labs did do an analysis of it, and I'll show you the link to that later on, and it is quite good. So we do know this took place. What we don't know is why it took place. We still don't know who the individuals or group behind this was, what they were doing, why they were doing it. We still don't know. Now there are thoughts that it may have been a trial balloon for something else, whether to identify what words and characters spread quickly. It may have been part of the Chicada campaign. Chicada, of course, is an online mystery crypto challenge. And there are also suggestions that it may have been linked to political campaign, or that the U.S. government official who was mentioned and made those points in this fake article, it may have been something run from his side. Now, as I said, the site was very similar and hosted some of the same content as the real BBC site, but it did have differences, and as we mentioned, the URL for one was different. If you looked up the website hosting information for this, it would have right away told you something was not quite right. Now, another thing you could do is cross-reference this information. Remember, just because one site is telling you something, that doesn't mean it's accurate. People can and do lie, as you've seen here. But you may want to consider looking for other sources that talk about the same event and same story. And in this case, that would have helped. The OpenDNS paper I mentioned about is linked below. I do recommend you read this. It was really good for that matter. And it can give you new ideas when you're looking up stuff. And that is all time we have for now. I will see you in the next video. Thank you.